Davis here. Let me turn that music down. I am coming to you from a different location. Can you tell? Got a plane flying over here. There it goes. I am in Sacramento, California, at a good friend of mine's house. I am in close to I think it's McAllen, I think that's how you say it, Air Force Base. And Jim and Tammy Skipper live here in Sacramento, and my wife and I flew in today um, to be at a church tomorrow night in Copperopolis. How about that for a name? Copperopolis, California, tomorrow night, and it's we're gonna have a great time tomorrow night, and then Saturday morning we fly on to Seattle to be at a church in Sedro-Woolley, Washington, Sunday morning. Two services Sunday morning, and then back to Atlanta on Tuesday. But this is beautiful out here. What a beautiful day it is. 3 o'clock here, or let's say what time it is. 3:01. Yeah. So it's 6 o'clock on the East Coast, 5 o'clock Central Time. But and I don't know if I've got this thing working right. If y'all are here, say some comments or let me know. We'll put them up on the screen. I do know that I don't think I have my Facebook tied in right. I've got Facebook, our ministry Facebook channel working, and YouTube. So if you go to scottdavis.tv, we fixed that now. So if you go to scottdavis.tv, as a matter of fact, let me put that up for you. Let's see here. I'm going to go scottdavis.tv. That is where you can go and join, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and click the little bell so that way you know when I go live every time. So Scott Davis TV takes you right to my YouTube channel and go live right there. So bookmark that. And Jeffrey Bryan, hey, there's Jeffrey. Good afternoon to you. And I am glad I have not been on live for about a month. First of all, my wife went down to Mississippi for 5 weeks. 5 weeks, because her stepfather passed away, and she went down there to be with her mother in Hattiesburg to help with all the things that you got to do, going through all the paperwork and all the insurance and all the, accounts and that kind of stuff you got to do. So she's down there for 5 weeks helping her out in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And matter of fact, we had a cookout at my brother's home, and my sister-in-law, because my wife went to the cookout after she got back, and my sister-in-law said, for a while there, I thought maybe you left Scott, that he was too embarrassed to tell anybody that you left him. So I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, I was able to take the train down twice to see them and visit. And so that was a neat thing. But glad to be back on the road. Glad to be out here in California. Glad to be with my good friends Jim and Tammy. They were such gracious hosts all the time when we're out here. And plus they cook good, got good food. That's always a plus for me. But pray for us, because we're going to be at Copperopolis tomorrow night, and then flown up to Seattle to be in Bellingham, Washington. And but I recently did an interview, and if anybody else is there, just leave a comment. I know some of these it's at a different time. I usually go on at noon when I do go on live, and I haven't been going on live lately, so my apologies. I'm trying to get more consistent, more faithful with that. So we're going to interview a lot more people. And I do have a good interview with you today. I interviewed a good friend of mine, Mike Shelley. Just about a couple of weeks ago, I interviewed him. Oh, Tim and Mary, hey. There's former Liberty friends and singing partners. We traveled with Smite for years, which became Light Ministries. And I don't know what they call it now, if they even have that now. But those were some great times. It was awesome. and Beth McCamey. Hey, Beth. Always good to see Beth. One of my favorite people out in Texas. By the way, Beth, we're going to be in Texas in December with Billy and Cassie Lord again. And November 15th with, I think it's Edgewood, Texas. I don't know if you know where that is, but Edgewood, Texas. But if you go to scottdavis.com/tour schedule, just go to scottdavis.com, click on the little tour thing, and you'll see where we'll be in Texas, because I'd love to see you again as well. We're finally getting back out on the road some. And, some places are not full. They're every other pew or every other chair, that type of thing, and kind of social distance and that sort of thing. But we're having a great time, and the excitement level has been off the chart because people are ready to get back to church. They're ready to fellowship. They're ready to have a good time. I know the first Sunday we were back at my home church just outside of Atlanta in McDonough, Georgia at Eagles Landing. The first time we were back, man, we just enjoyed the worship, enjoyed the preaching, enjoyed the fellowship. As a matter of fact, our service ended about 12:15. It started at 11, and at 1 p.m. the tech guy got up on the platform and got on the mic and said, "You guys got to leave. It's 1 o'clock. We got a baccalaureate coming here," because nobody wanted to leave because we really had a good time fellowshipping and being back in church. And the church I'll be with tomorrow night, the pastor said, and Tammy, hey Tammy, and she's like right in there because this is where I'm staying at Tammy's house. So anyway, the church tomorrow night, people said they've been driving all the way from San Francisco, which is like, I don't know, 2.5 hours, something like that, 2.5 hours. I know it's an hour and a half or hour and 45 minutes from here, just because they're ready to get back in church. And so that's an important thing, because Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25 says, not forsaking the assembling of yourselves together. Together, it's important, as the manner of some, but come together and encourage one another. That's what I've learned, that church is not so much about what we get out of it, but what we can do to others. And if you go to I think it's verse 24 of Hebrews, it talks about encouraging people to love and good works. And so church is there to help other people too, to do the right thing. So it's an encouraging thing. And who else is on there? Brian. Oh, Brian, I hadn't seen you in forever. Greetings, my friend. Will you be in Omaha? Looking good. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's this pretty sunlight that makes me look so good. Anyway, but I hope you're still pastoring out there. And I don't know when I'm going to be in Omaha, but I'm sure I will be sometime. If you're still pastoring, get me at your church, and then I'll be in Omaha. How's that for a thing? But anyway, but people have been ready to get back to church. I tell you, it's amazing. And I don't want to get political or anything like that on here, because I don't, I have my own personal views, but there's always the but, right? But I think things will change one way or the other, but there will be change around November 4th. I think there will be some change. I don't know which way it's going to be, but there will be some change. And so, but pray for our country, pray for our churches, because we need to get back to church. I saw a picture the other day. As a matter of fact, I posted it on my Instagram. And if you don't have my Instagram, that's where I put all my funny pictures. Well, good, Brian. He said you are still. Well, if you have me come to your church, I'll be in Omaha. How's that? But anyway, I put a lot of funny stuff on my Instagram. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna type that on here so you can see it. You just go to Instagram.com and then do the /SD Ministry. SDMINISTRY. Yeah, that's right. So SD Ministry. That's it right there. So you put Instagram.com/SD Ministry, or you can just go to Instagram and search for that right there at SD Ministry, and that will and join that. And that's where I put these funny pictures and all kind of pictures and a little different videos. I put a music video on there the other day of a concert that I did, a little short clip. I try to keep it 1 minute or less, but I saw a picture the other day of a jam-packed airplane with masks. Today I flew, had to have to wear the mask. It was a full airplane, yet right under it had an empty church. So if we can meet in an airplane with, 150 people, then we should meet in church. So as soon as you can, if you're sick, if you fall into that vulnerable category, stay at home, watch it online. But as soon as you're well enough and you can get out, you feel like you can get out. Let's get back to church. So I'm excited to help be a part of that. Now, enough of all that, because I can get on here and ramble with the best of people, I'll tell you. But I do have a great interview. The whole show is about an hour total, so this interview is about 45 minutes. You can stay as long as you want, but it's got some. I always try to get funny stories out of people. But like I said, I recorded this about a week and a half ago, and a good friend of mine. As a matter of fact, the Monday Mood Changer was started at this radio station, which is what my newest book was written from. The 42 weeks of that. But this is a good friend of mine, Mark Shelley, and I hope he's watching and promote it on the radio. But I want to play that interview, so stick with me. Here it is. Thanks. Love you guys. Well, I am honored today to have a good friend of mine who is in radio. He is a radio producer, on-air talent, and all kind of stuff. My friend, Mike Shelley. Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
Hey man, what's going on?
Oh, not much. Just still, trying to find stuff to do at home since I'm here most of the time these days. How is it with you with this pandemic?
Uh,
Are you?
well, we're still working. We're considered an essential business, so
That's right. If you're
which is
radio,
always a good thing.
that's
It's
right. When you're in radio, I'm going to turn you up a little bit right there. When you're in radio, you got to be on air, so that's a good thing for you guys.
yeah, we've counted a privilege to be on the air, but I'm kind of glad I'm not at home because the honeydew list is like this long.
Hey,
Because we've only been in the house for a year and a half, so
oh, okay, so you're in a new place now. Let everybody know. First of all,
yeah,
let's let everybody know who you are. You're Mike Shelley, and you are a radio producer and on-air talent at where? What station?
I'm general manager and I handle everything at New Life Radio in South Atlanta.
South Atlanta. Yeah, that's exactly right. And if people want to find that, they can find it where online.
They can go to newliferadio.com.
newliferadio.com. That way, even if you're not in the Atlanta area, if you're in the Atlanta area, I think it's 90.7 or 91.7.
90.7.
Is that right?
That's correct.
90.7, ninety-one
Uh-huh.
point seven. You can tune in there if you're in the Atlanta metro area. And if you're not, go to newliferadio.com. And let me tell you, there's some places, Mike, I have traveled to where the radio was non existent for Christian radio. And some places that had Christian radio that should have been non existent. Let me just say that. And so I would tell people to go bookmark it. Go to newliferadio.com or put it on your phone or something, stream it somewhere because it's a great station to have. Now, how long? Now, are you from Georgia?
No, you can tell that from my voice. I'm not from Georgia.
Well, tell people where you're from.
Well, it depends on what stage in life I was. I was born in Akron, Ohio. So my dad calls me a useless nut, which is pretty much what a Buckeye is. I grew up, did some growing up just outside of Chicago, but did most of my growing up in South Florida. And so I was on the beach a lot. I hung out, played volleyball, surfed, all that kind of stuff as a kid. But that's pretty much where I. Now I went to college in Georgia. I went to college at Tacoma Falls College in
Oh, okay.
Northeast Georgia.
Sure.
And then I went to graduate school in Virginia, worked in Nashville, worked in New Albany, Indiana, worked in Fort Myers, Florida. But for the last, I want to say we've probably been in Georgia the longest, about 20 years. We've been in the Atlanta area.
So, how long have you been in radio?
Let's say 30, 33 years.
Where did you start?
33 years I've been in radio. I started in Fort Myers at a Christian rock station. which was really interesting because Fort Myers, Florida is known as Heaven's Waiting Room. People go there, retire, and the next stop is heaven.
Yeah, right.
And so I worked at a station that was targeted to 18 and under.
Oh, wow.
And I was there at the beginning. Now that station is a network of stations across the country. So, but that's where I got started. Had long hair, had an earring, did all the rock and roll stuff for a while. So
Sure.
yeah, that was
Well, Florida, that's funny when you said Heaven's Waiting Room. I love that because whenever I go to Florida, I'm always behind a lady, driving a boat of a car, and all you see is the big booth on and the hands on the steering
knuckles.
wheel and that left
Crazy knuckles.
right, and that left blinker going, and she ain't turning. You know what I'm saying? So,
She's on a bridge, is what she is.
but that's interesting. So how did you? What brought you to Georgia? Was it radio or something else? I mean, maybe it was a college because you
Well,
said Toccoa.
well, it started out as a college, and then after a lot of bouncing around after graduate school, I ended up working. The college owned a station down in Fort Myers, Florida, that I was a manager of. And then after about 3.5, 4 years of being there, I started working at In Touch Ministries with Charles Stanley and helped rebuild their affiliates. So I was there for about 5 years and then got the itch to do something different and probably shouldn't have, but I really felt the Lord was telling me to do it just to do it. So I started teaching full time at Truett McConnell College and was there for about a year and a half and realized that being a full time professor was not really my gifting.
What were you
I love
teaching?
teaching.
What was the subject?
I was teaching public speaking, leadership, intro to business, management communication. I'm still on faculty at Tacoma Falls
Oh,
College online, but I haven't taught in a while. So it's been a while since I've gotten in front of a bunch of students.
well,
But
you
I
could have.
love doing it. I just don't know if I can do it full time, you know?
Right, right. You could have taught me. My minor at Liberty University was radio production. That was my minor, and I've always enjoyed media, and especially radio. And
Right.
I wanted a missions major, but to be a missions major at Liberty, you have to have a religion minor, and I didn't want a religion minor. I wanted radio production, and so they said I could do cross cultural studies, which was exactly the same curriculum as missions, but with I could have a non
Right.
religious minor. So that's what I did. I did cross cultural studies with a a radio production minor, and so I've always enjoyed that. I've always thought if I didn't go out and do concerts that I would do what you would do, and be on the air and that kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, if you ever need, just if you're ever looking for a, midnight till 4 a.m. person, I would love to do because that's probably the spot that I would probably best fit. So when you came to
I get
Georgia, of course, you had the connection with the college and the radio from Fort Myers, and then to here with Toccoa. But how did you end up in South Atlanta at the station you are now?
Well, the station after teaching for a while, I knew that I needed to get back into radio, so I went back to Tacoma Falls College and worked for their radio station, which was 100,000 watt on top of a mountain, and we covered 3, 4 states, portions of all those, and was there for about 10 years, which is the longest I've ever been in one spot in one job in my life. Thought I was going to retire
Yeah.
at WRAS, but the college ended up selling the stations. And that's a lot of Christian colleges, that's what they're doing now. They're selling, CIU sold their stations up in Charlotte. Cedarville Radio Network, which was owned by Cedarville University, they've sold all of their stuff. So it wasn't a shock that Tacoma wanted to do that. And I've been in Christian radio for so long that I figured I better start looking for a job immediately. And that's what I did. And I found this job, New Life Radio. Joe Emmert and I go back a long ways. So Doug Duran and I go back a long ways. So I just said, hey, you got anything? And they just so happened that exact same day, I sent him an email that exact same day, they had posted a job up on the National Religious Broadcasters website about this position. So I immediately found a dirty old resume that here it is. I'll send you a clean one later, and the rest is history. So we end up staying in where we live. We lived in Bethlehem, Georgia, and we were there
That's
until my
great at
daughter
Christmas time, isn't
graduated.
it?
Well, people ask, why did you, every time we moved there at Christmas time and we moved out of there at Christmas
Oh,
time. And
did
people
you?
like, why, why are you leaving Bethlehem at Christmas time? And I say, I got to make room for Jesus.
That's right.
So, because there was no room for him in the end, for those of you who don't know your scripture.
That's
So,
right. That's right. Exactly. So you moved to
so
Bethlehem,
anyway,
and now where are you now? Because you just recently moved.
yeah, we live in Milner, Georgia now, which is just outside of Barnesville,
Okay, and that's South Georgia.
just a little south of Locust Grove. So
And for those who don't know, because
it's a
we have a
beautiful.
lot of people watch this from all over. Joe and Doug. Joe is I guess, started the radio station years ago. Joe Emmerich,
That's awesome.
and he's the president, I guess, is what you call it, head honcho. And then what is Doug's position there?
Well, there's been some administration changes. Joe is now founder and chairman of the board, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously founder of Life Radio Ministries. And Doug has just been named president of Life Radio Ministries, and I was named vice president, general manager of Life Radio Ministries and New Life Radio. So
Did that get you
things
a
are,
raise?
changing. No, actually, it's funny. My mom asked that exact same question: "Is you get more money?" And I said, "Actually, I'm losing money on the deal." And she's screaming, "What does that mean?" I said, "Well, my
It's called
hourly rate
Christian
is
radio. That's
dropping.
what it
I'm
is.
working more, and I'm in Christian radio.
That's
Nobody
right.
makes any
That's
money
right.
doing this."
That's
So
right.
no, Joe and everybody they help us out pretty well. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good job. So.
Well, and I've known New Life Radio because the call letters are WMVV. And see, I grew up in Stockbridge, Georgia, just south of Atlanta. You're a little bit further south. And the church I went to, Mount Vernon Baptist Church, started a little radio station years
Right.
ago when I was in high school. And they never really did anything with it. And through a lot of God ordained things, Joe ended up, I think, purchasing the station from my home church, WMVV, because it was Mount Vernon, and you guys took it down to, a little further south and grew the thing great. And so it's reaching a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great story on how that happened. I mean, Joe and Jenny, Joe's wife, just really took a huge step of faith, and they wrote down on a piece of paper what they were willing to purchase the station for, but believed in God completely to get that money. I mean, it wasn't like sitting in their bank account. And so that's when the people at Mount Vernon picked them. I mean, that was what they were offering. And so talk about stepping out in faith, and that's pretty much the way the station's been operating ever since. It's
Right.
just month by month we live by faith.
Because New Life Radio is not a commercial station where people buy commercials and that kind. It is a listener supported, is what it's called, where you guys every year have to do a share-a-thon and raise money, and people give toward it. It's a ministry. And tell a little bit about that,
Right.
too, in case somebody would like to give to this station.
Well, it's really super easy to give. You can go online and go to newliferadio.com. You can click to give and to donate now, and you can do it through credit card, through your bank accounts, or whatever. You can make a faith promise and say, I'll go out in faith that God is going to give me the money and give you, however much a month. But twice a year, we do what is called a share-a-thon, where we go on the air, remind people why we do what we do, and let people know that we can't do what we do unless you obey what God has told you to do, which is to come alongside of us and support the ministry here. It is their station as much as it is ours.
And with technology these days, you don't have to be in the Atlanta area to get this station. As I said, you can go to newliferadio.com and you can pipe that through your, your devices, your mobile devices, iPhones, pads, all that kind of. And tell how they can listen if they have Alexa. I don't know if you do the Google, but tell about the Alexa. How if people have an Alexa device, how do they get it to play through there?
Oh, it's super. This is one of the best things that we've done, because we're now getting people from all over the country and around the world listening to us. And it's super clear. It's a great speaker. But you just tell Alexa to, mine's going to start pretty soon, so I better turn that one off. But I just, say, Alexa, enable New Life Radio. And then when you're ready to listen to New Life Radio, say, Alexa, open New Life Radio. And there it is, crystal clear, right on your Alexa speaker.
And that is a great way to do it. So you can be anywhere in the world, really. And if you have Alexa tied into the internet, you can listen. Now, the format of New Life, because you guys have a lot of music. And what I love about it, it's very varied type of music. And you're not playing. Here's the thing with most Christian radio stations. And this is a pet peeve of mine, and I'm not the only person. A lot of people are the same way. They take about 10 of the most popular songs and play them to death. That's all you hear all the time, over and over and over again. Within an hour, you can maybe hear the same song 3 times, or 10, 15. I'm just pulling a number out there. It might be 20 songs. I don't know. But you guys give such a good variety, everything from, what's playing on the popular contemporary stations to a Southern gospel song occasionally to whatever, and to independent artists, which that's a really neat thing, because a lot of independent artists, you just cannot get on a national station, one of these Christian stations. They just refuse. There was a large station years ago here in Atlanta that I was trying to get one of my songs on, and they said, unless you're on a record label, which I'm not, then we can't play it. And so on the Friday night where they had listener request night, what I did is I called in, requested my song. Well, they said, you're not on the thing. So I sent out an email that night to my list of people. Thousands of people started calling in. And the radio guy called me back and said, what did you do? What did you do? And I told him, and I said, people are requesting it. He said, I don't care if we have 10,000 requests. We're not going to play your song, because it's not on our approved list. And that's what they said. And I thought, that's just a shame, And that's one thing I like about New Life. There's several artists from my home church here in Atlanta that you guys have helped support and get their music on there. And they're, just getting started. And they're really good songwriters. And some of them are mentored by national people like Casting Crowns and others, that you help get their music out there. And I appreciate that about New Life. That's one thing that when you tune in through Alexa or through the web, or if you're in the local area, you're going to hear a variety. Plus, you do have some good teaching, correct?
That's right. We're about a 60-40, 70% music, 30%, 40% talk. And we play only the big ones. We've got, Tony Evans, and we've got David Jeremiah, Dr. Stanley. We've got, we just added Chip Ingram, Living on the Edge. We got some really great speakers.
And Mondays, you have somebody on Monday, too.
We have the Monday Mood Changer.
Yes, the Monday Mood Changer with Scott Davis. That's right.
We launched you, didn't we?
Absolutely. Pete. Oh, shoot. I know Pete, but I can't think of his last name. It just went out of my brain. But Pete.
Shag.
Yes, Pete Shagnon. He was doing the morning show, and I was doing an interview down there, because you guys have always been gracious to promote, local things that we've done, and you've helped sponsor some concerts and that kind of thing. And I was down there doing an interview, and we were talking about comedy and all this kind of stuff in between, one of the breaks there. And he said, you ought to do something, like a Monday Mood Changer, and that he actually came up with that name, and I thought that is a great idea, something short. And so I worked on it, and I tried to keep it very short, it's 2 minutes or less. And by the way, just so you know, Mike, one thing Pete did was he stayed on me all the time. Need another one, need a new one, need a new one, need a new one, need a new one. He was good about that. And so, and I'm working on new ones now. As a matter of fact, I've been editing a lot of quarantine comedy and all this Corona stuff. Because let me tell you, I got a lot of new stuff, and so we're putting all that together. So we're going to have a fresh batch of Monday Mood Changers coming out. But you guys were the first ones to launch that, and then I talked to another friend of mine who was in radio up in North Carolina. And he liked it, and so he put it on their network of 26 stations there. And then Babby Mason picked it up and put it on her Babby Mason Radio, her internet station, because she's got an internet. A lot of people have internet radio stations now. And then another gentleman picked it up and did it. And then the newest devotional book that I have was written from 42 of those Monday Mood Changers from last year. We took those and expanded them and transcribed them and edited them and made a book out of it, a 42-day devotional. But yes, I am very grateful to New Life Radio for launching that, and you guys, helping get that out there. So that's been a blessing.
Yeah, and it's been great being able to listen to that every Monday, because after a weekend you get up at dark 30 and try to get on the air, and you're like, do I really want to do this again? You're sleeping in your coffee, and all of a sudden Scott comes on and says something just completely off the wall, and you're like, okay, now I can go the rest of the week really on that. So it's been great. It's been a blessing to us too.
Well, I've enjoyed doing them, and it's always funny trying to put those, because I did one, I had a little joke that I did, that one about the bed. Why in the world do you have to make up the bed when you're going to get right back in it in 4 hours, and it was people loud. And I thought, what does that got to do with anything spiritual? And I was sitting here in this room, as a matter of fact. This is my little family room, and this is where we started this show during the coronavirus type stuff because we couldn't get out. And my grandson Dylan was sitting there, and I said, what does that have to do with anything spiritual? And he goes, laziness. And so I started researching laziness in the Bible, and man, I was getting convicted. There's a lot of the Bible that talks about that, and so that's the route we took with it, and that's the way some of these come about. I take a comedy thing and then think, what does that got to do with Jesus, And we start thinking about it, and just about everything you can tie it in with Scripture, and the whole point is just to get people closer to God, but be a funny way of doing that, which has been kind of neat. Now, during this whole quarantine time, you've been essential and going to work. Now, what's your main show that you're on the air is it every weekday or when?
Every weekday beginning at 5:30 in the morning.
Ooh.
Now, I've been doing morning radio for 20 years, easy, 20 years now.
Wow.
And so even on Saturdays, I get up at dark 30, even if I don't want to.
So when you get up what's the normal time you get up on an average day?
On an average day doing morning radio, I get up probably 3-ish.
Wow.
3:30-ish. And then, when I was living in Winder, it's an hour and a half drive.
Yeah, right.
So I got to be at the station by 5:30. So, you're leaving the house at 4.
Yeah.
So you got to be up between 30 and 3.
My goodness.
And then, but now that I'm only 15 minutes from the station now. I haven't had a 15-minute commute ever.
Right. That's awesome.
And so it's really, really nice to be that close. But, I still get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Sure.
Easy.
So every morning from 5 till what time?
5:30 to 9.
5:30 to 9. You're going to be on live every weekday on newliferadio.com or 90.7, 91.7. So listen to Mike every morning, and of course on Mondays you'll hear me on there too. And and you don't just play songs; you talk a little bit and you give a little commentary on things, which I enjoy. Yep. I enjoy that. Now, during this quarantine time, how's it been at home? I mean, I know you got out of the house to come to work, but any other thing happened that was different than normal life for you?
Yeah, the daughter came home early from college. We brought her home in March, and I live out in a very rural area. There's a pastor in our area that says our zip code is EIEIO. We're really country.
Right.
And the internet is just really, really bad
in
that area. So my daughter's trying to take, college courses online,
Yeah, I don't know how that works because
and it's just
it's terrible.
it's not working.
Right. So
It's
many people, I don't want to get political or anything, but so many people say, well, got to do it online at home, got to do it online at home. But there's so many people who don't have good. Listen, I pay to the nose for high-speed internet, and half the time it doesn't work right, and things stop. And
right.
even doing interviews like this or it stops and skips and all that kind of thing. It's not all, so you think of people, number one, that can't afford it at all, or number two, that are out there in rural areas like yourself that can barely get dial-up speeds. I feel for students like that. So what does she do?
It's really interesting because the college that she goes to doesn't have an online program like a lot of colleges in our country have. A dual, you can either go online and get a degree or you go there in person. Well, her college doesn't have an online program, and they had to really hustle to get an online program ready to go, and they did that in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And some of the profs, the professors, like I said earlier, I've taught online, so I know what it takes to get a class started. I mean, you got to get everything done in advance.
Right, exactly.
And because of that, you've got to have everything uploaded, got everything going. But they started the middle of the semester. The profs forgot that they have students that are in California, but they kept their same class time. So at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Monday,
right,
that's 5 o'clock in the morning. And my daughter was like, Dad, there were some kids just like, all right, question, do I have to be here? Can I wait till I have coffee? That type of thing. And,
I would see I would still have I would have the blanket up to here still, saying, okay, go ahead.
So it was a challenge. It really was. I remember when my son first started at the college. He graduated over a year ago, and I asked the president, "When are you planning on doing online?" And he goes, "We're not. We don't. We want the students to have, relationships with their profs." And I'm like, I get that, but there's going to come a day where you're going to get forced to. And coronavirus. So it's all my fault, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you a lot. I tell people all the time, China did not cause this virus. Zoom did, because they wanted their stock price to go up. That's what I think. But, well, that's interesting. For me, my wife and I, we travel together, which we're together a lot. So, but to be home together this whole time, let me tell you, I've gone through, issues. I didn't know that there were 243 fights per year for married couples over how to load the dishwasher. But now I realize that is so true. There's all kinds of issues out there.
You had 228 of them, right?
What's that?
You had 228 of those fights.
Exactly. Oh, my goodness. She started taking the knives and throwing at me. This is not how you do it. This is how you do it. So, but anyway, it's been really interesting. I like on my show, this little web show that we do, I like to hear funny stories. If you know of at least 2 funny stories that happened to you, one on air, something that may have happened, because there's got to be something, and then something maybe off air that was funny that people would enjoy. Tell me that on air one first.
Oh, 33 years. I mean, every day it's a mistake. But I remember, and it wasn't right when I first got on the air. That was nerve-wracking enough as it is. But I had just been named general manager for a station in South Florida, and the guy that I was replacing was on the air with me. And we got to talking, and I said, "You're listening to 89.5 WJYO, and just stick it right here." And he just kind of stopped. He went, and then just lost it. He fell on the floor laughing. We were still on the air, and I'm like, I don't get it. He goes, "You said stick it. You said stick it right here." Like, okay. Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's always those things that you say up here that sounds really good, but as soon as you put it out there, it ain't as good as you think it was.
Oh, I've said
So,
I have been live on stage and said stuff that people thought I said something different than I actually said, but it sounded very close. You know, it's like I talk about this thing about my wife would buy these cakes. Oh, I hit my mic there. My wife would buy these cakes at the grocery store, the one layer, and they're called sheet cakes. SHEET cakes. And I'd say, my wife would buy these sheet cakes, but I would say it real fast. And a lot of people was like, what did you say? You know, and it's SHEET. And it's a cake that's like a sheet, you know. So I quit saying that. I just say these one layered cakes that are a rectangle, you know, that type of thing. Because I've been so many places where I've said things that words were too close to something I shouldn't have said, and people thought I said it. I mean, got mad at me for saying something that I really didn't say. Now, have you ever thought your mic was muted and never said something that you wish you regretted?
All the time. You think the mic is off, and then you start having a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
And you tell a joke.
Yeah.
That you probably wouldn't tell your mom.
Yeah, right.
It's nothing bad, nothing no.
Sure.
But it's not really one of those jokes that mom would like.
Yeah.
You know.
Sure.
And then you're like, oh.
Just everybody heard it. Yes.
The phones light up.
Well, it must not have been that bad because you're not.
Good.
Yeah, it must not have been that bad because you're still there, so that's good. You haven't been fired.
I'm still doing what I haven't done it here.
Oh, I got you.
Here, thankfully,
No wonder you weren't at the other stations anymore. That's what it was.
That's exactly right.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I got to tell you another story. This happened just a few days ago. I was interviewing a friend of mine, and there's a switch underneath the board that allows me to turn the mics off from going out over the air, and I can talk to whoever I'm talking to that's maybe calling in or whatever. And so I forgot to flip that switch, and we started doing the interview, and it went out over the air, just completely dead silent for 10 minutes.
Oh my
God. And I'm
God.
like, I hit the song, everything's going, and I look down and I'm like, oh no. And I said, you're not going to believe this, but that whole 10-minute segment didn't go on the air.
Oh.
And he just started laughing.
Oh my God.
Now, if it had not been a friend of mine, I would have been really embarrassed.
Sure.
You know, if it was like an artist or something like that. But it was a buddy of mine. So I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to even mention this. We're just going to go right out of the song and start the interview over again. He goes, okay, I can do that. So,
yeah.
But live radio,
Oh,
you never
my
know
gosh.
what's going to happen.
So, Mike, why did you get into radio?
Well, really, it's my mom's fault. She said I was going to use my mouth to do something. So that's how it all kind of came into being. But you look back and you see how God had groomed you to do what you do now.
Right.
I remember a story my grandfather told me years ago. He goes, we knew that you were going to get into some type of radio because of the then what stories. I'm like, well, I don't understand because I don't remember anything from, back then.
Right.
He goes, well, you would tell us a story, and then we would say, and then what? And then you'd start, you pick it up, and then you would finish the story, and then we would say, and then what?
Yeah.
And then it would go on from there. But kind of not really understanding that that's how it all started. But it was when I was in high school, I felt God calling me to youth ministry. But I never really liked being just one little youth group. So the station that I first started working at, which was targeted to the 18 and under, I had everybody's youth group. And I just kind of went from there. I started out as a volunteer DJ, and it was fun. And so I kind of turned what I loved doing, which was talking and, playing music,
Sure,
to getting a paycheck. And
yeah.
So that's pretty much how it all started. And I look back on it and I'm like, I never would have thought that God would have used me to do this much.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing feel when you're like, wow, if he used a donkey to tell somebody the what for, I guess he could use me.
That's right. Exactly.
You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mark Lowry used to say, "What we used to get whipped for, we get paid to do now." You know, that's the truth.
Absolutely. I can make people laugh. All you have to do is turn me off if you don't
That's
like it.
exactly, exactly. That's awesome. So
Uh,
tell folks why you think Christian radio is so important.
oh, man, that is a great question. You know, let me take it from a couple of different positions. In a From a marketing standpoint, if you are a pastor, a writer, um, if you are a speaker of any kind, like yourself, the best way of getting the word out about who you are and what you do to the Christian audience is through Christian radio. Uh, Number one, even Christian television is expensive, and it's hard to get on, even as an ad on Christian television.
Yep.
But Christian radio can reach and penetrate so well into the Christian marketplace. From a listener standpoint, there is nothing better, especially now, with
Yep.
so many people being quarantined and that it is the best way to get daily hope
Yep.
on a, it's you think about what you get from your church, and you and I go to the same church, so we
Right.
know the type of preaching that we're getting. And it's like, but how can I get that every day?
Right.
And a station like New Life Radio brings that message of hope every single day. And there's nothing like the stories that I've heard. I remember one story. I was up at the station in Toccoa, Georgia, and we get this phone call from a guy who is down in South America. And I'm like, he goes, I got to tell you, that song that you just played was amazing. I can't believe it was in my language. I'm like, okay, you're in South America. How are you hearing us? He goes, I tuned the radio. It just happened. It was a clear night, and the radio signal just
Wow.
boomed. It just went down. I mean, it's amazing. I'm like, okay, that's wonderful. But how did you hear it in your language? We don't play any Hispanic music. He goes, no, no, no. I heard that song in my language.
Wow.
He told me the name of the song, which was the song that we played. But the song that we played was in English.
Wow.
It,
God
it's just
translated
it's
it
just
for him.
dude, I'm telling you, there are stories like that all the time.
That's
I heard from
amazing.
another guy who was able to get a radio. He was in prison and was able to get a radio, and he said, I could never pick up any station but yours. Yours is the only station that I could pick up in my cell. And he goes, I just want to tell you that I came to Christ because of what your station
Wow.
proclaims and produces and airs. Scott, you can't buy marketing like that.
No, no, no.
I mean, God, it's just one of those things
Yeah.
that you're like, God uses signal and manipulates the signal to go wherever He wants it to go,
It
and it penetrates the hearts of those that need to hear it.
it is definitely a ministry. That is for sure. I remember in college in Lynchburg, Virginia, at Liberty University, picking up the Atlanta stations on clear nights when
Oh yeah,
clear, especially AM stations, you could pick up. But a lot of that is just a God thing, God getting the word out there. And I do believe that
mm-hmm.
God has anointed. And I know that sounds weird to anoint a radio station, but I believe He has, because you guys play great Christian music, a variety. You get the Word of God out there through great teaching, and it's not boring stuff, which is really good. And you guys have prayer times for people that might not be able to get out and go to church. Listen, you can hear this stuff every day, and you guys have a dedicated, people can send in a prayer request, and you personally go down the line and pray for these people, right? Because I've seen you do it.
3 times a day, we pray for the needs of our listeners.
See that?
Um, it is humbling to see the number of people that call in just for prayer
Yeah.
and what they share with us.
Yeah.
It's business issues, it's financial problems.
Yeah.
I've heard in just the last several weeks, I've heard from more people say I've got eyesight issues. Either they're diabetic or they've got issues with their eyes. Uh, Others are there are people that have loved ones that are not saved, and they are carrying this burden so that their loved ones will come to Christ. And the pandemic and the cultural unrest that's going on is just causing them to really stop and think.
Right.
I need to be praying. And it is so powerful to see what God is doing. I really wish our listeners would tell us how God has answered those prayer requests,
Yeah. That would be
because
good.
most of the time we have no idea.
Right.
And every time I get on the air, I said, let us know how God is answering your prayers. We want to praise with you
Sure.
on that. And every once in a while get somebody. Rarely does anybody ever share with us how God has answered prayer, but I know He has.
Yeah.
I know He has.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, especially in these times. I tell people, turn off the news, and if you do watch news, which I do still watch the news, I need to turn it off more, and just turn on Christian radio. But whatever you do, filter it through the Word of God. You got to filter it through the Bible. Whatever you watch on the news,
Absolutely.
whether it's Fox News or MSNBC or anywhere in between, you got to filter it through the Word of God and come up with the truth of what's happening. And then, like my wife, I listen to news. I'm a news junkie, and she said, "I'm going to the other end of the house. You listen to whatever you want. I'm not watching that junk." Because she gets mad at me. But she'll watch her shows or whatever. But I've learned that when I get in the car, because that's where I listen to the radio all the time in the car, and I love it. And I listen to you guys. I listen to other talk stations. I'm a talk radio person, but I love the music. Sometimes I get on there and just listen to the music. I hear songs that I've never heard before, and then maybe turn on, catch Charles Stanley at the right time or Tony Evans at the right time, and he says something that, wow, that was for me, and I think that's really good. So people need to turn off. I'm speaking to myself. Turn off the news, especially during this time that we're going through, which is incredibly weird, and just turn on the radio. And when I say the radio, I was almost saying turn on the Bible. But when you turn on New Life Radio, you're going to get the Bible there. That's true. Through music, through prayer, through teaching, all that kind of stuff. So before we go, I want to remind everybody, if you're in the Atlanta area, go to 90.7 or 91.7 and tune in anytime. Now, do you guys have an app at all?
We do, but because of the change of our website, the app doesn't work as well as we'd like it to. So the best thing that we've been telling people, if you're going to use an app on your smartphone,
Right.
is use the TuneIn app.
TuneIn Radio.
That way you can
Exactly. And I have that too. TuneIn Radio is an app that you can get. I bought it years and years ago, so I'm grandfathered into the thing. I think you can get a subscription to it, or a free version, or whatever. But it is great because I do that with my phone. I've got that unlimited data now, so I just I have my favorite stations, and one of them is New Life, and I can pop it on there and stream it, and it's like I'm sitting right there with you guys. And then also tell them once again in detail, one more time before we go, about the Alexa, how to do it. And does that work on the Google Google thing yet?
No, we're still working on getting a Google Play app
Right.
for that. So that's coming. That's
Good,
coming.
Good.
But Alexa,
Tell them one more
so
time on the Tell them one more time. My wife, it's just she hates all those devices because it's listening to everything, and we got Siri and Alexa, and I told Donna, I said, you're so paranoid about that. No, they're not listening to anything about that. And I just started laughing, and then she started laughing, and then Alexa laughed, and then Siri laughed. So anyway, I don't think they're listening, but Alexa is a great thing. So tell them one more time how to set it up and then how to play that.
Really, just go to your Alexa and say, Alexa, enable New Life Radio. And then once it's all set up, again, you got to go on your iPhone or your smartphone or whatever to make sure it's all there. And then you just, when you're ready to listen, just say, Alexa, open. No, don't say play, because that's another station.
Gotcha.
Open New Life Radio, and it'll open right up, and you can hear us crystal clear.
And I'll put that on the screen here too, so everybody will see it. So, but this has been fun, and so glad that you came on to my little, I call it Scott Davis Conversations with Friends. And so I'm glad that you came on to do this. Now tell us, is there anything for the local listeners, anything coming up that you guys are sponsoring, concerts or events that you might want to let some folks know about? Anything special?
I really wish we have something coming up, but with everything like what's going on with you, a lot of things have been shut down.
Right.
It's been a real struggle for us. We normally get our bandwagon out and get going, and we're all over the place. But over the last several months, we've been having to, really rely just on the radio to get people to be a part of it. So we're praying that 2021 is going to be a whole different year for us.
Well, and when things get going again, and that's what we're shooting for, 2021. Of course, this is me personally talking here. I could be wrong. I have been wrong many times in my life. My wife makes clear that to me. But anyway, but I can tell you right now, I think a lot of things will change one way or the other on November 4th. That's just my opinion, just my opinion. A lot of things will change then, and we'll see.
You're probably
But we'll look at events next year, 2021, because you guys do have a great live, in-person, like remote studio that you guys take with you. Tell about, because that thing's cool. And if you go to newliferadio.com, do you guys have some pictures of that somewhere on there? Do y'all put?
I think there's a few pictures on there. If not, it's probably because they're really old.
Right.
But what it is, it's a big 20, 30-foot trailer that we pull all over the place, and we got a back porch to that where we're able to broadcast right from the back porch. And we've done all the festivals. We've done all the church events.
Right.
We bring that thing everywhere. So.
And it looks nice. It's not like it's not like a trailer that you bring hay on. It is like a real trailer, like one of those silver wing, or what do they call that thing? Kind of really nice, and it's painted. And y'all got the flags out there, and the the signs and stuff. It's really, and you can remote do live broadcasts from that little studio, which is very, very cool. So
people think we sell barbecue from that trailer too. So
you can make a little bit extra with that.
I'll have a side of pork with that. I'm like, no, we're radio.
I like to hear 3 songs and 2 ribs, please. With extra Brunswick stew.
Some sweet tea.
That'd be funny. And sweet tea, yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be funny. You could have a radio station and barbecue place all in one. I think that would be hilarious. But anyway, let's just encourage people to get online, newliferadio.com. And I hope there'll be some folks around the country. I know there's some people that I come in contact with in Texas and Montana and Virginia and California that their radio choices are very limited, that are good, decent radio places. And so this might be a great alternative for people. And you can always go to the website, newliferadio.com. Now, there's another thing that you guys put out that a lot of people don't know about. I mean, I get it. I don't know how many people get it. But you guys have a really nice, slick, I guess it's quarterly newsletter that you put out. Is there a way that, do people have to give to the station in order to get that? I keep hitting my microphone. Sorry about that. Do people have to give to the radio station to get on the list for that? Or can they sign up to get it anyway? How does that work?
Yeah. You don't. Yeah, you can just contact us, and just say, I'd like to get the newsletter, and we'd be happy to send it to you. We got one coming out in a couple weeks. So if you want one that's going to be coming out in the middle of September, now's the time to get in contact with us so we can get your name on the list. So
go to newliferadio.com, and I'll put that on the screen, newliferadio.com. I'm sure there's a place where it says contact us or call us or whatever. Do contact them and let them know that you want to get on their mailing list to get that newsletter, because they've really got a great print newsletter. So several ways of reaching people. They're on location, remote studio. You got your live stuff there every day from the regular studio, and then through print. So there's a lot of great avenues to get the word out. And if you have pray about it. But if you got a little that you can give and you want to give a gift to New Life, it is worth the investment. I've given before. It is a great ministry to give to it. You can do that at newliferadio.com as well. And I guess if you don't have an app or Alexa or anything, you still just go to New Life Radio. There's a play button there, isn't there, that they can play within the website, correct?
Yeah, you can listen right there.
Yeah, yeah. So
Not a problem.
If you just want to go to newliferadio.com and hit the play button, you can do that. So, well, this has been fun. Thank you, Mike, for coming on and just sharing some of your life with us. And I think it's interesting. It's interesting to me, and I love that. And so, thank you. And I look forward to the next time we can be live in the studio. And I'll let people know too that they can listen in then as well.
I can't wait for you to come back. It's always fun to have you on the air with us.
All right, my friend. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I did conducting it. I like to have people on that interest me, and so hopefully it interests you. But it's a great ministry there, and I encourage you to go to newliferadio.com and check them out. But Mike is a good guy, and if you're in the area, you listen every Monday. I'll be on there with my Monday Mood Changer. But it's great to be somewhere different live right now, here in the backyard of Jim and Tammy Skipper's house here in Sacramento, California, and just arrived today and headed over to Copperopolis, how about that, tomorrow night, and then on to Bellingham, Washington for Sunday. So keep us in your prayers, and I appreciate you tuning in. I'm going to try to get back online more regularly, maybe at least once a week. I used to do it every Tuesday and Thursday at noon. I'm going to try to go back to Thursdays at noon and be more consistent, put some of our funny pictures and have a good time. But keep us in your prayers. I appreciate it. Love you guys, and we will talk to you soon. And share this. Hey, I'm going to post it on my Facebook page, the other Facebook that didn't get it live. And but if you can share it with people, and encourage them to go to Scott Davis TV right there. Let me put that up. Scott Davis TV.tv. That goes to my YouTube channel. That's where I'm trying to funnel everybody, and they can subscribe, hit the little bell, and then every time I'm on live, you'll see it. So that's easy. Scott Davis TV. It'll take you right there. Subscribe, and that way when I go live, you'll know when I go live every time. So I appreciate it. Love you guys, and stay in touch, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. Bye-bye.